It's not uncommon for a town to have a dance studio. What is uncommon is to have the creative talent associated with Shelley Pack Manning. Shelley is the driving force behind Shelley Pack Dancers, whose graduates include national title holders such as Miss Dance of America, Mr. Dance of America, and 2 Teen Mr. Dancers of America. Shelley, the program creator and director of the Shelley Pack Dancers, is certified to teach by the Dance Masters of America. She is a national dance examiner and was installed as president of Dance Masters of America in 2012. The COSIDE is very fortunate to have a person of your credentials and talents teaching dance. And if one were to go to your website, Shelley Pack Dancers, and that's Shelley with 1 L, people would learn about your awards and the positions you hold in dance associations. But I would like to take our listeners back in time as to how you got where you are today. Why don't you start by sharing with us where you were born and basically how did you get smitten by the dance bug? How did it come to be that you are where you are today?
Okay. Well, I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I remember the day distinctly. I was always dancing around the neighborhood, for one thing, and our neighbors were telling my mother, you should get her into dance. But my mother had just had a newborn, and so I was dancing on our front porch, and a gentleman was walking up the street, and he walked up our front steps and said, "This young lady should be dancing." And my mother said, "Yes, I know." And he said, "I'm a dance teacher. I need to see her in class on Saturday." And that's how it all started. He was a ballet master, and I was immediately smitten. And I studied with him for approximately 10 years before moving out of the area. And then I just kept studying and ended up with the Pittsburgh Ballet, and I was accepted into the corps. And after that, I danced with a modern dance company that was funded by the McFeely Rogers Corporation, which is Mr. Rogers, like Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. So that's how I began my professional career.
Do you have brothers and sisters, and do any of your siblings, are they smitten by dance, or are you kind of a solo in that area?
Well, I thought I was a solo, but I have found out that after I actually started dancing in my young years, my uncle, who was my godfather, said, "Well, this is absolutely natural because I've taught ballroom for years and years and years," which I didn't know. And he also taught some tap with Gene Kelly. So I was like, okay, this is where I'm meant to be.
Now, you were an East Coast person, and when did you move to the West Coast, and what was the reason you came west, young girl?
Oh, well, I am an East Coast girl, and I lived there for 2/3 of my life. I moved out here to California in 1993. And one of the reasons was the weather. I had it with the snowstorms. I had 5 studios that I ran, Pittsburgh area. And the last year that I was there, we had to close for 2 weeks straight because of weather. And it's very hard, to have your own business, especially the dance business, and the kids can't get there, to study. And so you don't get paid. So
now, when you came west, did you come immediately to Half Moon Bay, or did you come to California and then to Half Moon Bay?
I lived in Marin for a year, and I was teaching for various studios within the Bay Area. And I was also doing a lot of theater work at the time because I was in theater in my younger days and I wanted to go back. I was doing a play at, it's called the Coastal Conservatory now, but at that time it was the Side of the Hill Players. And I was cast in Neil Simon's Rumors with my husband, who is my husband now. That's how we met, and we fell in love and decided that we would stay here in Half Moon Bay. And of course, I opened a studio because that's what I did.
Do you find that the coast-side is kind of a creative place? A lot of creative people live on the coast-side?
Yeah, it's amazing how many people here who have past, professional past, or are actually, directors and writers and musicians and composers, and you don't even know where they are, but there's so many creative people here.
From the standpoint of teaching dance, would you say this is a good place to have a dance studio? Yeah, I mean,
Well,
it's not Marin.
yeah,
It's not. There's
no.
not a lot of population
And
here.
it's not the peninsula. What I find is that the caliber of the students is very high, and that the dedication. The kids that come to me are very dedicated in studying. I may have a lot more of them if I was over the hill. It's just a matter of logistics. But I'm very happy where I am. I love the idea of driving up the coast and, seeing the ocean every day. It's very important to me for my sense of well-being. And I love the students that I have. I have very extremely talented students. And a lot of them do come over, like from Fremont, San Jose. I've even had a student come all the way from Livermore.
Well, that's dedication.
Yes.
Now, there's an event coming up in the not-too-distant future, and it's one of the things that you do on an annual basis, I believe. You have a program, a performance of your students and what you're doing. Tell us a little bit about that. That's coming up at the end of the month.
Yes, we've been very busy, and we're definitely into the crunch time right now. We have our annual recital coming, and it's held at the Skyline Theater. The Skyline College Theater, in San Bruno. It's a beautiful theater, and our show involves students from about 2.5 to 18 years old. One of our students is the past star of Billy Elliot, J.P. Vareness, and he is featuring in the show. We encompass all dance forms: ballet, tap, jazz, acrobatics, modern, contemporary, everything. And the hit of the show are usually the little ones, the babies, because you never know what they're going to do. But that's coming up. The theme of the show is Show for All Seasons. So it's based on how the events of our seasonal lives are shown through dance.
And the dates for that will be?
June 29th and 30th. On the 29th, it's at 7:30 p.m. And on the 30th, it's at 2 in the afternoon.
And if somebody was listening to this program and they said, I think I might like to go and see what that's all about, how would they get tickets? How would they go about reserving a seat for that?
Okay, we have advance ticket sales, and they can go to our website. You can get them through the website or get the information to order the tickets through our website. That's www.shelleypackdancers.com. Shelley with one L.
With one L, that's right.
Right.
And of course, as most of our listeners know, you also advertise on the station, and we thank you for that. And that's why I had that little, that seems to be kind of a tagline for you, kind of part of your advertisement, the one L, and after a while, it really sticks with you.
It does, and it's been there all my life. When I started working professionally, I'm really a Michelle. And when I started dancing professionally, I wanted to have a name that people would remember. So I have one L in the Michelle name. So when I became the Shelley, that carried over. So it's Shelley with one L.
Great. And if people have never been to your website, they really need to go just to experience it, because you've got a great website. I mean, it's very colorful, very draws you in. There's a lot of good content. You're changing it all the time. And they say that a good website, you need to change the content all the time. And I believe your husband, is he responsible for doing that?
He is, yes.
Yeah, he does a great job.
He designed it, and he's my webmaster. And we have video, and that's wonderful, because you can actually see the dancers in action. And the fact that we've had so many very successful students come out of the studio. One is in the Broadway show Spider-Man. Of course, JP toured nationally with Billy Elliot. His sister, Lexi, also toured with Billy Elliot. I have a student who has performed in Paris. I have one who is in a ballet type play at Lincoln Center right now, and toured with Complexions, a world renowned contemporary dance company. So
that must be very satisfying for you to see these people go on to successful careers.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. But it's wonderful, because I have these kids for so long. They start at the age of 2.5. And then I watch them grow up. And it's not like being a high school teacher or public education teacher, sometimes, I mean, more than sometimes, the kids will all tell you they see me more than they see their mother. So, it's a very important position.
Have you ever had occasions where you've been able to have little reunions of people that have gone through your dance classes and went on to bigger and better things? Ever get together or see them again or maintain contact with them?
I'm always in contact with them. In fact, in this last month, one of my girls who was a CEO for a company in LA has come back and asked to come back on staff as one of my teachers. Another one of my girls, a Harvard graduate, she developed a nonprofit organization for it's a dance exchange, and she does it in Panama. And she sends teachers from the United States to Panama to help this third world country and give them a chance to dance. She was here a few weeks ago and is traveling with me to New Orleans for our convention. So, yeah, I see them. I hear from them constantly. They check into the website.
Well, I wish we had more time because it's fascinating to learn all about what's going on. But thank you so much for coming in and visiting with us. We appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you, and I love listening to your radio station.
Well, we'd love to hear that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Shelley Pack Manning, the program creator and director of the Shelley Pack Dancers, our feature story of the week. Stay tuned as we dance our way to Community Bulletin Board up next on your hometown station, AM 1710 KHMB Radio.
You've been listening to the KHMB Feature Story of the Week. Know someone who deserves to be recognized in the community? Call us today at 453-4000 or email us news@khmbradio.com.
The KHMB Feature Story of the Week has been brought to you by United American Bank, your friendly community bank.